see in these things. I do not like wearing my glasses. All right, we're gonna go glassless today. I can't see anybody, but that's okay. Good morning. At this time, I'd like to call to order the Franklin County Board of Commissioners General Session. Today is September 14th, 2021. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Commissioner Crawley.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As a reminder, and I do need my glasses. As a reminder, this is a public meeting and is being recorded. For those of you calling in, please ensure that you muted your phone line by pressing *6. We appreciate your cooperation. I do want to take a personal point of privilege to just take a moment to reflect on the events of this weekend and the reflection of 20 years ago from 9/11. And think for just a minute about what you were doing on that day, that fateful day in American history. But more importantly, remember the victims. As I think about all my own life experiences as a young person growing up in Central Ohio, there are those moments that you think back to that were so defining for you as a person. This is one that defined us as a country. And the tragedy of it, while awful, I truly believe made us stronger and better and more conscientious and more together. And so, if we could take just a moment of silence to once again remember the victims of 9/11, and even in that moment, just take a minute to reflect on what you were doing that day and how it's impacted your own life. Thank you. All right, for the business that we have before us today, is there approval of the minutes of September 7th, 2021 general session and September 9th, 2021 briefing session?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Thank you. The minutes have been approved.
Thank you. First is the engineer.
Resolution number 703-21. Prime AE Group Incorporated Consulting Engineers appointed to assist the Franklin County Engineer with general engineering services, Franklin County, Ohio, in the amount of $100,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Cornell Robertson, Franklin County Engineer. And Commissioner Boyce, I want to say thank you for your patriotism in recognizing and remembering those tragic events of 9/11, 2001. I appreciate that very much. Also, before I start with the presentation of the resolutions, I would like to remind you all that we have scheduled the Boer Road Bridge Project completion ceremony for this Friday at 2 p.m. on site. We have sent invitations to each of the individual commissioners' offices, and we hope that you'll be able to join us, and we'll offer time at the podium if you would like to deliver any remarks. Thank you for your partnership, collaboration, and support on that emergency project.
Thank you. Please proceed.
And now with the presentation of our first resolution. This resolution is a design contract with Prime AE Group for general engineering services. The first task order is to assist the engineer's office with preliminary engineering and project cost estimation for the Township stimulus program. This is a one-time program providing federal funds to townships for sidewalk, roadway, and culvert projects located within township limits. The total funding available for this program is $8 million, and a funding limit of $250,000 per project has been established. ODOT will provide 100% of eligible costs for all phases of the project up to the specified project funding limit. The project funds will be prepaid to the township and must be spent by December 31st, 2024. Prime AE Group is a firm that we have worked with before, and we utilize the qualifications-based selection process for this recommendation. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any comments or questions for the engineer? Hearing none, I move for the approval of Resolution 70321.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Crawley,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce. Resolution number 70321 has been adopted. Resolution number 70421, Proudfoot Associates Incorporated, consulting engineers appointed to assist the Franklin County engineer with general engineering services, Franklin County, Ohio, in the amount of $100,000.
This resolution is a design contract with Proudfoot for general engineering services as well. The first task order is to assist the engineer's office with pedestrian infrastructure upgrades and ADA compliance review at signalized intersections throughout Franklin County. Proudfoot is an MBE and DBE certified engineering firm, and we utilize the qualifications-based selection process for this recommendation as well. Pending any questions, I request your approval.
Any comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, move for the approval of Resolution 70421.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Crawley,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Resolution number 70421 has been adopted. Resolution number 70521, Report 11th of the Franklin County Engineers establishing sums of compensation for a portion of the owners of property abutting the Morris Road at Babbitt Road Improvement Project, Plain Township and Jefferson Township, Franklin County, Ohio, in the amount of $68,500.
Commissioners, this capital improvement project is in the northeast part of the county on the line between Jefferson Township and Plain Township at the intersection of Morris Road and Babbitt Road, where we plan to build a single-lane modern roundabout in 2022, utilizing ODOT safety funds and funds from Ohio Public Works Commission. This resolution is the 11th report for right-of-way acquisition and includes one property. The appraisal is based on fair market value, and we coordinated with the prosecutor's office. I respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
There are no comments or questions for the engineer. I move for the approval of Resolution 70521.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Crawley,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Resolution number 70521 has been adopted.
Thank you all very much. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you. Next is Board of Elections.
Resolution number 70621, resolution authorizing supplemental appropriations within the Board of Elections Capital Fund for the purchase of equipment.
Good morning, President Boyce, Commissioner Crawley, Commissioner O'Grady. I am Anton White, Director of the Franklin County Board of Elections, here to present Resolution 706-21, a resolution authorizing supplemental appropriations within the Board of Elections Capital Fund for the purchase of Election Day equipment. The total amount of this request is $1,043,340, and this total appropriation accounts for two separate purchases. The first purchase under this resolution is for $337,500, and it is for the purchase of 1,500 Authority to Vote printers. The Authority to Vote printers are the printers that are paired with our electronic poll pads, and they are used in our polling locations on Election Day to print the Authority to Vote slips that are given to voters. The Authority to Vote slips are an important part of our voting process, as the slip contains the proper precinct and ballot style information and ensures that a voter is given a correct ballot on Election Day. The current ATV printers were purchased in 2016, and the testing and programming of these printers is a time-consuming process for board staff, as these printers use Bluetooth technology to wirelessly connect to our electronic poll pads. There is now a printer available for use with our electronic poll pad system that uses a hardwired connection and transmits the data and supplies the poll pads with power. The second purchase under this resolution is for the amount of $705,840, and it's for the purchase of 340 Cradle Point routers. The Cradle Point routers will be used at our polling locations on Election Day, and they will be used to download supplemental voter file updates to our electronic poll pads. These voter file updates include a data transfer of voters that were processed as having voted or requested a mail-in absentee ballot are voted in person at our early vote center prior to Election Day. The Cradle Point is an endpoint router that uses a secured cellular data connection that connects directly with our electronic poll pads. Once connected, the supplemental voter file data is automatically downloaded to our poll pads. This router that we want to purchase is being customized by our vendor. They customize this device by building it into a metal case with additional signal boosters to provide additional signal strength for our polling locations located in buildings or areas of the county that have a limited cellular signal. In addition, a battery is also installed to allow for continuous connectivity in the event of a power failure. The case is also designed so that it is securely sealed for deployment to each of our locations. Pending any questions, I respectfully ask for your approval of this resolution.
I have a question, if I may,
Yes.
President Boyce. Thank you. So with the purchase of the printers and the endpoint routers, do you plan to purchase them and have them all installed by this November election? Or what is the time frame in purchasing and having these installed?
Yeah, our goal would be to deploy this equipment for this upcoming November election. We conducted a pilot with this equipment during our May election and our special August congressional primary election, and the pilot was very successful. So we would like to purchase this equipment to have it in place for November.
Okay, in the May and August, did you, it was successful, but I'm not sure exactly how you define complete success. Was there any glitches that you were made aware of that the manufacturer were able to, address, or anything like that that might have come up?
Yeah, no problems. Our vendor loaned us some equipment. We didn't have a full election in May or August,
Right.
so they were able to loan us some equipment. We were able to test the printers, and we had success. We had no calls from our poll workers. Generally, with our current printer, with the Bluetooth technology, a lot of times we get calls from our poll workers because the Bluetooth fails, and so we have to try to reconnect the printer with the poll pad. And so with the wired connection, the printers become generic. And so we had no issues. We had no phone calls, where in every election that we administer, we usually have some phone calls on the printers. And then with the Cradle points, we were able to see in real time through our election management system, the connectivity of the router with the poll pad. And so back here at the Board of Elections in our war room, we were able to see the connectivity of the poll pads. We can see when information was being downloaded. We can monitor that. And in today's environment, that doesn't exist. So that was very successful from that standpoint.
Okay, great. Thanks,
So-
thanks, Anton. I appreciate it.
So, Anton, I talked to Juan about this, yesterday, and he indicates that the printers are going to improve security, and the routers will help with the sync issues that you guys have had over the previous election cycle. So this is a really good update that it's going to help you guys in the coming election cycles.
That's correct, Commissioner O'Grady. Particularly with the routers, I think we have a more real-time way to transmit that supplemental data, and it's beneficial just not only to our staff in terms of improving our process, but just in terms of our poll workers. It simplifies a poll worker process. And so anytime we can simplify a poll worker process, that's better, not only for poll workers, but just for our election day voters.
Good.
All right, if there are no more additional questions, I move for the approval of Resolution 70621.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Crawley,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce. Resolution number 70621 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners. Everyone have a good day.
Thank you. Next is child support enforcement.
Resolution number 70721, resolution authorizing a consultant contract with Lyndon Norris for professional mediation services in the amount of $35,555.56.
Good morning, Commissioners. Susan Brown, representing the Franklin County CSEA. In 2017, the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services received a grant award from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services for access and visitation programs to enhance visitation between children and non-residential parents. The CSEA applied for and received an award to provide such services through a contract with Linda Norris, a professional mediator. On June 29th, the agency received notice of a renewal of the funding effective July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022 from the grant section of the Office of Child Support, with the ability to receive additional subgrant agreements until September 30th, 2022. By resolution, the county administrator is authorized to sign the subgrant agreement to receive these funds so that the agency can continue to provide access and visitation programs, and authorizes him to sign any subsequent sub-agreements issued under the initial award. This resolution authorizes the consulting contract with the mediator, Linda Norris, to provide professional mediation services for parents who wish to establish an agreed parenting time and child support order at the same time or any time the child support order is established, or any time after the child support order is established. Pending any questions, I ask the resolution be approved.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none, I move for the approval of Resolution 70721.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Crawley,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Resolution number 70721 has been adopted. Resolution number 70821, resolution authorizing a 4D contract between Franklin County Child Support Enforcement Agency and the Franklin County Clerk of Courts in the amount of $211,634.97.
Thank you. This resolution asks your consideration in approving a contract between the CSEA and the Franklin County Clerk of Courts, since it's a one-year interagency agreement beginning July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, in an amount not to exceed $211,634.97. The purpose of this contract is to reimburse the Clerk of Courts for expenses associated with the filing and maintenance of documents, including all motions, complaints, investigations, and other document entries required in the course of CSEA business and for service of process. Each unit of service defined as a CSEA-initiated court docket entry will be reimbursed at a rate of $2.99 per entry, with a total of 202,970 entries anticipated to be devoted to this contract. The performance standard will remain to process all filings within 3 business days. The Franklin County Child Support Enforcement Agency and the Franklin County Clerk of Courts have a long history of successful collaboration in the establishment and enforcement of child support orders. Pending any questions, I request the resolution be approved.
Any questions?
No.
All right, seeing none, I move for the approval of Resolution 70821.
Commissioner.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Crawley,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Resolution number 70821 has been adopted. Resolution number 70921, resolution authorizing an independent contractor agreement with Cassandra Young for program consulting services in the amount of $6,890.
This resolution requests your consideration in approving an independent contractor contract with Cassandra Young beginning October 1st, 2021 through March 31st, 2021, with one more option to renew in an amount not to exceed $6,890. This is actually the first option to renew. The contract follows federal guidelines for professional consulting services and is eligible for federal financial reimbursement. The purpose of this contract is to reimburse Cassie Young for for professional consulting services associated with the development of behavioral science training materials and modules, providing training presentations to staff, and transferring knowledge in behavioral diagnosis and design and behavioral science interventions to our social program developers and to our staff. Each unit of service for this contract is defined as an hour or portion of an hour it takes to perform the services outlined in the contract. Pending any questions, I request the resolution be approved.
I have a question. How often is she providing training for the staff?
Through this contract, she's providing recorded training modules so that we can use this training for new hires and for existing staff. So once the contract is over, we can continue to use the training modules.
Okay. Okay. Any additional questions? Seeing none, move for the approval of Resolution 70921.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Crawley,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Resolution number 70921 has been adopted.
Thank you very much and have a great day.
Thank you,
You
you as
too.
well. Next, community partnerships.
Resolution number 71021, resolution authorizing the Franklin County Community Funding Initiative supported by funding from the American Rescue Plan Act in the amount of $5 million.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dana McCrary, Community Partnership Administrator. I'm so pleased to be with you this morning to share information about this resolution, which authorizes the allocation of $5 million from the Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund authorized by the American Rescue Plan Act to support nonprofit agencies that have experienced revenue losses or increased costs caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. We are standing up a separate process here in Franklin County entitled the Franklin County Community Funding Initiative. The maximum grant award through this application process is $50,000 for nonprofit organizations serving residents who reside primarily within qualified census tracts. Or an organization can apply for up to $25,000 if they are primarily serving Franklin County residents that reside outside of a qualified census tract. Applications will be accepted on a rolling basis until the fund is exhausted. We are emphasizing greater support within qualified census tracts because Franklin County residents living inside of qualified census tracts, of course, have experienced the greatest economic and health outcomes related to the pandemic. Our application will go live on this Friday afternoon after we have our webinar, which will take place at 2 p.m. I'm excited to say that we are really making a hard push to get the word out into the community. We've reached out to our partners at the Human Service Chamber, United Way of Central Ohio, Columbus Urban League, the NAACP, here within the county, Franklin County Department of Job and Family Services, and the City of Columbus, just to get word out into the community about the webinar and the availability of funding. I will say, I'm just looking at my email box. We have, at this moment, 119 people already registered for the webinar on Friday. So just really excited about this opportunity to get funding out into the community for the people who need it the most. And pending any questions, I would respectfully request the approval of this resolution.
The only question I have, Ms. McCrary, is as each appropriation is made to those respective agencies, will that come back before the Board of Commissioners?
Yes,
for
it will. Yes, sir.
Are you going to do it as a block? Or are you
The
gonna
process, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, are you going to do it as a block, or are you going to do them sort of as they come and as they're approved from your agency, your department?
Thank you for that question. We will download approved applications into a spreadsheet on a weekly basis. Bring that information to each of your offices just to see if there's any questions or concerns, and with approval, we will move the applications forward for funding. So absolutely, the board will have one look, will have the last say about each application before it moves forward to be funded.
But just to be clear, will it be a vote, or is it just you're gonna just bring it to our office so that there'll be a vote for a resolution for each one?
No, no, sir. There won't be a formal vote. However, if there is a question or a concern regarding a particular application, we will pull it from the batch and get it resolved.
I'm gonna support this resolution today, but I wanna just publicly state my caution at this type of a resolution where I wanna be clear, this is not a blank check. This is, that there's a process that will be implemented. And I would prefer that as items come, as they're appropriated and awarded, that they come via resolution to the Board of Commissioners. I'm only gonna make this exception because I do feel like the pandemic environment requires a unique kind of outreach effort, and timeliness is important, and getting those funds onto the street is important. And so I am conscientious of the time frame, but I want to caution that, and I'll ask my office, I know Tamara's listening, that we incorporate those requests in our weekly staff meetings, because I want to see them and I want to see the detail on them. So while I won't not support this resolution, I don't want this to be the process going forward. I don't know if the administrator may have had a response. It looked like you.
No, I was just gonna, Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator, I'm just saying, we will be very conscientious about the process in bringing these nonprofits forward as outlined by the Community Partnerships Administrator. And also, before any documents associated with the grants under this funding initiative, I will also be outlining those in a second measure during my weekly meetings with you all, and communicating that as well.
And will the, Administrator Wilson, will the offices be in on the evaluation of the request, or just the findings of the applications or the process?
The findings of President Boyce, Commissioner O'Grady, Commissioner Crowley, the review process will be with the Community Partnerships Administrator, and then she will bring forward those grantees that are recommended for funding pursuant to the criteria that was set up and outlined with individual offices before this resolution was brought before you all today.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that, but I don't know, I was under the impression that they would be coming to us as appropriations per award, or in a package of awards, so we could see the list of agencies. But again, I'm going to support this only because I do feel like we have an obligation to get funds on the street and really ensure that these agencies are able to carry out their function to the community in an expedient manner. And given the pandemic environment, if this were not a pandemic environment, I would not support it. But because it is, I think there is some urgency in keeping all the wheels moving. But I'm going to caution you on that process, that we will be monitoring that closely. And I want to make sure, again, my staff's listening, we'll incorporate this into our weekly meetings. And that's both times we meet during the week. If you will just give me updates as we go. And I want to make sure those meetings are happening before the awards happen. So if an agency is selected by the administrator, the grants administrator, the process is that it comes to the commissioners and there's some kind of sign off, and then it is actually awarded to the agency.
President Boyce, Commissioner O'Grady, Commissioner Crowley, yes, that is the process that Community Partnerships Administrator Dana McQuarrie is going to follow. She's going to have a package of recommended organizations for funding pursuant to this resolution and present them to each office and get the okay that there is not any issue with any particular organization. And if there's an organization that has been flagged where there's any concern, she just outlined that the organization would be removed from consideration.
So I have two things. One, it kind of follows up off of President Boyce's question or comments, because I too want to see obviously who is being recommended or referred forward. But I also am curious to those who aren't recommended for funding. And I'm used to serving on boards where if there's grants and they're recommended, we, move forward with the process. But if they're not recommended, I'm also made aware of why they were not recommended. Obviously, you'll communicate that. But if we're having this fund until this open until all the funds are exhausted, maybe there's some corrective actions that the organization may be able to take to come into compliance with whatever the criteria is. So I would like to know who's moving forward, obviously, and chat about that. But the ones that you are not recommending for funding, who they are and what, why they were disqualified. So that was number one. And then the second thing that I have is an actual question. And if you could talk about how does the compliance with state law and federal funds work in this resolution?
Thank you for your questions, Commissioner Crawley. The application process that we have outlined and shared with all of your offices really highlights the fact that this is, it's not a typical application, it's really more of a technical review. And part of that process, we are asking organizations to attest that they are in fact compliant with the Ohio Attorney General's office, that they do not have any findings, negative findings in terms of finances with the IRS. So there are a number of assurances that are built into the application. And really, it's a matter of some pretty standard questions in terms of the length of time that the organization has been in operation, where are they located, how many people are they typically serving, what their budget is. So it's really, we're going to be sort of ticking through a number of boxes. The application has within it embedded a place where they can check, each applicant can check and make sure, verify their compliance. And we're also asking them as a part of the application process to attest that they are willing to comply with reporting requirements that are set forth by the federal government and any requirements that would be placed upon us by the state government. So again, to your earlier point, we will download applications that really meet all of the requirements that are outlined. Those who, those organizations may be, perhaps there's an organization that may apply for funding that's been in operation for 2 years and 9 months. We would place that application on hold, for, just as an example. And when that organization crossed the 3-year threshold, providing they met all the other requirements that are outlined in the application, then they absolutely would have the opportunity to come back and request funding at a later time when they did come into compliance.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry.
No, I yield to Madam Commissioner.
When it comes, I'm sorry. So just about the reporting, you're asking them to comply, and you mean comply with sending, reporting it, providing the report to you, as well as what they would normally have to provide, receiving COVID dollars. You will want to be able to see that, correct? Is that what you're asking them to comply to, or just reporting period?
We are asking them to meet the reporting requirements that are set forth in accordance with this fund that's been established. So we are not asking them to apply to send a report on their own. We want the information to come to the county so that it would be rolled up into our application that is due on a quarterly or semi-annually or annual basis. And I think our director of OMB could speak specifically to the reporting guidelines, but we are asking organizations that receive funding from us to return that information to us so that we could report on it to the federal government.
Okay, and he's getting ready to speak. I guess I'm just trying to make sure that what we are doing and the $5 million that we will allocate complies with state law and federal law. And then obviously the federal requirements for COVID dollars that are restrictive in nature. And obviously the reporting requirements are, very clear as well. So as we have to report, they should be doing the same thing. Okay. And
That's
I know you
correct.
guys-
And we're asking them to attest to that fact within the application as well.
Correct, and I think also to follow up, we're also asking them to commit that there's no duplication of other federal funding, just to make sure with the overlap, in terms of the funding being provided based on the similar guidance from last year from the CARES Act, the understanding is that the funding that we would provide to these nonprofits, they would be considered beneficiaries rather than subrecipients, since it's direct support for their operations. So there's a little different reporting requirements on the nonprofit side. If there was a subrecipient that received more than $750,000, they'd have single audit requirements. As a beneficiary, they're treated as a direct recipient, so it wouldn't fall into that, especially for some of our smaller nonprofits. They wouldn't have then the burden of some of the financial reporting going forward.
Okay. And I can ask you some additional questions offline, but thank you. I appreciate it. Just making sure we're in line.
No, absolutely. We definitely want to make sure, and that's where, in terms of the standard terms and conditions, we'll have it, requirements for any reporting through 2027, which is the current deadline for the Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund. So we want to make sure that we have the opportunity to get response back, and kind of with all the standard terms and conditions we've had for funding that's been provided through the rescue plan this year, those terms and conditions will follow through in these agreements as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I'm just going to add that, to Commissioner Crawley's point, again, I want to emphasize that this is why, we generally don't do resolutions this way, where we sort of just appropriate the funds and we don't know where it's going, and without a formal journalized way, because that's what the resolution does in itself, is it journalizes what we're doing with the money. This form appropriates the funds, and then there's this sort of process that allocates the money to these agencies. And there's vulnerability in that from the commissioner's standpoint, so it will be really, really important that the process that's employed after this appropriation, which again, I'm only accommodating this because of the pandemic standards I think require reasonable consideration to deploy funds, and we've got a lot going on, and I don't want to hold up the work those agencies can do with process and bureaucracy. However, to Commissioner Crawley's point, there are parts of the reporting, and that also means reporting to us as commissioners, so I'm not this is not the most comfortable process for me. However, for this one time, I want to see how this works, and then we can reevaluate it as we go. I'm confident Administrator McCrary will do a fine job of administering to the rules of the funds, but there are bigger things happening here. So I just want to be on the record to say that, and I do expect to know, I expect to be very much in the loop before funds are awarded to these agencies, and to kind of have a track of that as well.
President Boyce, if I may make a few final comments on this resolution. Because of the fact that we are in a pandemic period and there is reporting requirements to Treasury associated with these funds, we have to have a process of due diligence and transparency at multiple levels and accountability, because these funds are appropriated to us from the federal government as a part of this act. most recently, all of the funds that had been expended up to the reporting period, most recently on August the 31st, contained all of our expenditures up to that point, would have included expenditures under this resolution if approved, and subsequent reports will cover that. But backing up, we have to have a process in place where you all see at a letterhead level all of the proposed nonprofit organizations to receive funds in each of the installments that are recommended by the Community Partnerships Administrator. And each of you all sign off on that. So,
But Administrator Rules, if I could just interject, what's unique about the way we're doing this is that normally, typically, the way we'd appropriate funds would be embedded in this resolution would be the allocation of those funds to the various agencies. And the reason why that's important, especially to someone like myself, is because I look for conflicts. I look for other issues that, might be relevant that are not typical and germane to that particular agency and the appropriation. And so to me, it's much bigger than some process. I mean, that whatever the federal government is what they require, but there are many things that I look at when we're appropriating funds, and here, not knowing what the agencies are and feeling the vulnerability of missing something is important to me. And so this is not the kind of process that I like. I mean, I feel like I've been pretty clear about that. But I'm being cooperative here because I do think we are in a special circumstance environment. But this is not, to me, the ideal way of doing this.
President Boyce, Commissioner O'Grady, Commissioner Crawley, yes, I would agree with that. Typically, there will be a grant review process, and the resolution would outline each organization that has been identified at that particular time, and it'd be memorialized in that way via a vote.
Okay.
But this process has been modified, as you stated, to get money out the door in a more expedited fashion to nonprofit organizations that have experienced revenue loss or are seeing increased costs as they continue to cope with the COVID-19 pandemic.
There are no additional comments or questions. I move for the approval of Resolution 71021.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Crawley,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Resolution number 71021 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Next is Economic Development Planning.
Resolution number 71121, resolution entering into an agreement with the Economic and Community Development Institute to provide a micro-enterprise loan program to county businesses utilizing the second round of COVID-19 federal stimulus community development block grant CARES Act funding in the amount of $1,343,592.
Morning, Commissioner. This is Director Jim Shimmer from Economic Development and Planning. Nice to see you this morning. I wanted to just introduce this resolution to you. Mark Paxson, our CDB administrator, will take you through the rest of it. But the key here, Commissioners, we're following the actions that we took to create the grant program, small business grant program with the Columbus Urban League last week, as well as establishing the Certified Development Finance Institution, the CDFI. This resolution this morning, Commissioners, continues our assistance to small businesses. The difference here today is that there is a job creation requirement, and this is CDBG dollars. I'm going to ask Mark to take you through the resolution and go from there if you have any questions. Mark?
Morning, Commissioners. Also on the call, I believe, is Ms. Kinney, the Executive Director, and Mr. Fireman, the President General Counsel for ECDI. I believe they'd like to possibly briefly speak to the program after my presentation. This agreement provides additional funds for microenterprise revolving loan program. This is for businesses in Franklin County dealing with the consequences from the COVID-19 pandemic. The federal eligibility for the receipt of a loan will be met through the creation of jobs that will be filled by low-income county residents. Eligible use of funds include working capital, inventory, and equipment. Type of loan is a direct loan to for-profit businesses. The collateral, it can be personal guarantee lien on assets or cosigners. The interest rate is 1%. Bank loans are not required. The entire loan will be done by ECDI. This agreement will be funded by county COVID-19 second round community development block grant funds, U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Is Ms. Kinney or Mr. Fireman on the call? Would you like to briefly speak to the program by chance?
Yes, hello, good morning, Commissioners. Ina Kinney, founder and CEO of Economic and Community Development Institute. I'm glad to be here per Mark's and Jim's comments. ECDI has been a provider of services through Franklin County businesses since 2004. We're in our 18th year of work with the county. To date, we have deployed over $52 million in Central Ohio since 2000, actually $55.2 million in Central Ohio since 2004. Of those funds, $25.5 million have been deployed in Franklin County with a $3.9 million from CDBG dollars. This is to date. It's very important to understand that the businesses that have been assisted has been 3,200 jobs and created and retained through these funding sources through the county. Our COVID response in the last year and a half has been phenomenal throughout the county. As a result, we have created thousands of jobs in just the last year and a half alone, created and retained. The key is retained. Retention is really critical here. We've done 346 loans since April of 2020 in Franklin County, and $12.4 million in loan capital has been deployed in Franklin County alone since April of 2020. In the last year, we've also increased the numbers of clients that we've served through our training and technical assistance in Franklin County. As you know, we as a business also had to pivot. So in teaching our own businesses that are in Franklin County how to pivot, we did so as well. We're doing a lot of our work telephonically right now through webinars. But an interesting fact here is 87% of our current businesses that we've served with Franklin County funds have been minority, and 85.4% of those businesses have been Black-owned businesses. So we're really proud of those outcomes and those statistics. In addition, in the last 6 months, ECDI has deployed $46 million in PPP loans within the state of Ohio, and 26.6 million of those funds PPP loans have been in Central Ohio. So again, we are here to provide any type of relief to businesses. We believe that COVID is still in the midst of, huge pandemic, and we see the effects of the Delta variant on our businesses. So these funds that, just mentioned right now, they're part of the resolution, are much needed to assist the businesses in Central Ohio, and specifically in Franklin County. Our current pipeline for loans is over $20 million. So the need is critically there.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Ina.
Thank you.
I don't know if there's any specific questions to this, but we value our relationship with the county, and every business that we're able to help right now is it's going to be grateful for the work that they have, the county commissions have been able to provide to ensure that the businesses survive and flourish.
Well,
Thanks, Ina. I want to make sure that if the commissioners have any questions, they can ask you right now about that.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. I do have a question. I was looking through the resolution summary. Is there a maximum amount that could be loaned to an enterprise? I might have missed if you said it.
The maximum amount that ECDI currently loans is up to $500,000.
Okay.
That's the max. We have requested from our board of directors to go up to $1 million. In these times, right, it's very critical to understand that a lot of businesses are not able to access bank capital. banks have gotten very conservative in the last year and a half. The businesses that we serve are usually not eligible for bank funds as they are because of the credit and collateral shortfalls with that. So that's why we've decided to propose going up to $1 million in loans. But our loans start at $750 and currently go up to $500,000.
And Ina, commissioners, this is Steve Fireman. I'm sorry, my video is disabled, but I think it's important to know also that though we can go up to $500,000, our average size loan is still $22,000.
Thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
very important.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to ask about average. And I was seeing in the paperwork that it says that in this program, is this correct, that the aggregate loan program is required to create or retain a minimum of one job for every $35,000? Oh, okay, that's great.
Yes, correct, yes. And that's another thing that is very important to understand. We've been managing CDFI funds, since 2004. We have to go through a single audit. I mean, we like to think of ourselves as CDFI experts. I'm sorry, CDBG experts. We manage CDBG funds throughout many of the state, counties, and municipalities.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions. Do my colleagues? All right. Hearing none, I move for the approval of Resolution 71121.
Second?
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Crawley,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Resolution number 71121 has been adopted. Thank you, Ina.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. Have
Thank
a
you,
great day.
commissioners.
Resolution number 71221, resolution approving a second amendment to service agreement, resolution 0226-20, between the Board of Commissioners and the Community Shelter Board to develop and implement strategies that decrease homelessness in Franklin County.
Again, good morning, Commissioners. This is the second contract amendment to Resolution 22620, the Community Shelter Board to develop and implement strategies to decrease homelessness in Franklin County. This amendment seeks to extend the term of the agreement from June 30th, 2021 to December 31st, 2021. Community Shelter Board is requesting an extension based on the fact that the purpose of these funds were replicated by the $2.4 million in Federal Emergency Solution CARES Act funds that the county received during the pandemic. These COVID-19 dollars, again, also replicated the need to address homelessness. As such, not all the county's general funds in this agreement could be expended prior to the June 30th deadline. The balance left on the contract is approximately $44,000. This from initial contract of $5.4 million. Pending any questions, I respectfully ask for approval of this resolution.
Any comments, questions? Okay, here. Oh, I'm sorry.
Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator. In the resolution summary, Mr. Paxson, it has, I'm hoping an erroneous zero next to economic development and planning as it describes the resolution content.
That would be my mistake. What I was under the impression is that the contract was already in place and we're just asking permission to finish the last $44,000. I wasn't sure we had to add the $44,000 that line item, but if that's what we need to do go forward, I'll certainly make sure that occurs.
Okay. So, Mr. Paxson, so the total expenditure is $5,489,390 after the balance of the contract has been expended.
Correct, yes. There's that $5.4 million, $44,000 remains on the contract.
Okay. I would, I think it's fine if we remove the reference to the zero. Clerk Henderling.
Administrator Wilson, I will note it is listed only in the resolution summary. So with the Commissioner's permission, we can update the summary to match the actual resolution itself that was submitted.
Yes.
Thank you.
If we can match the resolution itself, that would resolve it.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you, Clerk Henderling. Thank you, Mr. Paxson.
Go on, thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Okay. Any other comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, I move for the approval of Resolution 71221.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Crawley,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Resolution number 71221 has been adopted, and Mr. Paxton, I will reach out to you later this morning to update that resolution summary.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, resolution number 71321. Resolution authorizing the Board of Franklin County Commissioners to sign the attached discharge of mortgage instrument for Susan D. O'Sale at 4360 Lafayette Court, Columbus, Ohio, 43213.
This is a request for a discharge of mortgage. It's for Susan D. O'Sale at 4360 Lafayette Court, Columbus, Ohio. The lien is the amount of $4,300. Requirements of the loan have been satisfied. Property taxes are current. Pending questions, I respectfully ask that the Commissioners sign the discharge of mortgage instrument for this property.
Hearing no comments or questions, I move for the approval of Resolution 71321.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Crawley,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Resolution number 71321 has been adopted. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Next is sanitary engineers.
Resolution number 71421, resolution authorizing a first modification to the general engineering services contract with Arcadis US Incorporated, an increase of $70,000 for a revised amount of $268,900.
Morning, Commissioners. Ryan Stowe with the Sanitary Engineer. Sanitary Engineer is requesting the authorization of the first contract modification for general engineering services with Arcadis via resolution number 69919. Board of Commissioners authorized a contract for $198,900 with Arcadis to provide general engineering services for a period of 24 calendar months. Due to the status of the current ongoing projects and anticipated future engineering and project needs, the period of performance needs to be extended by 16 calendar months to a total of 40 calendar months. In addition, the funding necessary to cover the additional months is estimated to be $70,000, which will be provided by the $5 million provided to the Department of Sanitary Engineering from the Board of Commissioners. Pending any questions or comments, I request the passage of this resolution.
Any questions? Okay. Hearing none, I move for the approval of Resolution 71421.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Crawley,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Resolution number 71421 has been adopted. Resolution number 71521, resolution authorizing a second modification to the contract with CH2M Hill Engineers Incorporated for additional services for the Timberlake Water Treatment Plant Upgrades Project, an increase of $65,000 for a revised amount of $629,684.52.
This resolution, the sanitary engineer is requesting the authorization of the second modification to the contract with CH2 Hill M Engineers for our Timberlake Water Treatment Plant Upgrades Project. The second modification will address the needs that were discovered during equipment commissioning. It was determined that additional services were needed and include commissioning oversight and further training on the equipment. The estimated fee for these services is $65,500 and will be provided by the $5 million provided to the Department of Sanitary Engineering from the Board of Commissioners. The period of performance will also be extended through March 31st of 2022 to ensure successful implementation of this new equipment. Pending any questions or comments, I request the passage of this resolution.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none, I move for the approval of Resolution 71521.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Crawley,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Resolution number 71521 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Next is Job and Family Services.
Resolution number 71621, resolution approving subaward agreements with Action for Children, the Homeless Families Foundation, and Young Men's Christian Association of Central Ohio for the Spark Kindergarten Readiness Programs in the amount of $910,674.14.
Good morning, Commissioners. Vivian Turner, Assistant Director. We know that parents and caregivers are the child's most important teacher. Spark, or Supporting Partnerships to Assure Ready Kids, is a family-focused intervention program that's designed to equip families with the knowledge and skills to ensure their children are ready to enter and thrive in kindergarten. Professional parent partners meet with families when they are and provide monthly lessons to help evaluate children's early reading, language, and social skills. All of the lessons are based upon the Ohio Early Learning Content Standards. We know that data has shown that Spark children significantly outperform their non-Spark peers in the areas of math, language and literacy, and motor skill development. Spark services supplement our Step Up to Quality work and importantly also help ensure working families who may not qualify for publicly funded childcare have access to quality early learning resources and support. With the onset of the pandemic, Spark providers shifted from homes to virtual visits using laptops or mobile devices. They engaged with over 350 families, providing approximately 2,000 lessons to children, while offering supplemental guidance for parents. Under this agreement, our community partners will continue to provide Spark kindergarten readiness programming to an estimated 370 3- and 4-year-olds. Program providers are currently in the process of returning to in-person home visitation as their primary method of delivering services. Spark also supports the 11th recommendation of our poverty blueprint. And pending any questions, I request your approval.
Any questions? Okay. Hearing none, I move for the approval resolution 71621.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Crawley,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Resolution number 71621 has been adopted. Resolution number 71721, resolution approving subaward agreements with Community Refugee and Immigration Services, Ethiopian to Owedo Social Services, Jewish Family Services, and and Us Together Incorporated for refugee employability programs in the amount of $561,923.99.
Commissioners, as you know, we are the only job and family services agency to receive state refugee social services funding. This funding is intended to help eligible newly arrived refugees across the Central Ohio region address challenges and barriers to employment, such as language, education, and work skills. The ultimate goal of the program is to help these individuals and families who have been impacted by trauma and violence with employment to gain employment as soon as possible. In July, you authorized our agency to enter into an agreement with the state to receive funding for year 3 of this 3-year refugee social services grant. This resolution awards the first allocation of that funding to our RSS collaborative partners. Over the first 2 years of their grant, 750 eligible refugees were served, providing workplace English language instruction, basic employability skills, job placement, and retention services. Nearly 2/3 of those participants obtained employment, exceeding the state's target of 53%. Most of these jobs are full-time with benefits providing an average wage of $15.86 an hour, also exceeding the state's target of $12.50 an hour. Under this agreement, the partners will continue to work collaboratively to offer program services designed to address the challenges and barriers to employment that are specific to eligible refugees that have arrived in the United States within the past 5 years and initially settled or migrated to the Central Ohio area. This year, the partner agencies will provide refugee supportive services to approximately 200 refugees from throughout Central Ohio. This resolution supports goal number 4 of the Rise Together Blueprint, and we are so pleased to have 2 of our RSS collaborative partners joining us this morning to talk to you a little bit about the RSS services and to answer any other questions you have with regards to refugees. So this morning we have Dr. Seleshi, who is the Executive Director of the Ethiopian Taiwaho Social Services Agency, and Ms. Nadia Kazman, who is a co-founder and director of Us Together. So I'll start off with Dr. Seleshi. Welcome.
Thank you, Vivian. Good morning, commissioners. I really thank you so much for making the Refugee Social Service Support Program, which is an employability program, for us and in making our county a welcoming place for all. And I remember the last 4 years how this program was struggling because of the previous administration. And you stand with us, advocate for us, and for this program to come and to welcome the refugees. That really helps us from the collapse of this program. And now again, we are renewing that, which is we are very, very happy. And there is a hope now. Our newest refugees is going to come. We are expecting this January a lot of influx of our refugees to come to Columbus, because you know that this Refugee Social Service Program, RSSP, makes an impact, significant impact in our refugees' life, because you know the impact, the Northland is a testament for the refugees resettlement in that area. You know that the Northland was closed in 2002, since then it was down, and now it's coming back because of the refugees of immigrants and refugees status employment program. So it's really a significant program, and I'm very, very happy, and I'm honored to work with my other sister refugee partners, because this is a good collaboration project. We work together to make the life of refugees easy, because as Vivian said, that we are providing job skills training, English as second language, computer skills, and then finding a job. And if you can go now to Amazon or JCPenney or other distribution centers, the majority of workers that the Indian are those refugees who has been trained through this program in collaboration with Franklin County Job and Family Services. Most of them that now they are purchasing homes, they are starting their own businesses. They really paying back to our county and to our city. So this is a significant and important program that we are supporting. And my agency is the longest serving on this program. And we are so appreciative for your continuous advocacy. I really appreciate. Thank you, Commissioner O'Grady, Commissioner Boyce, and I miss Commissioner Brown, but our newest commissioner, Commissioner Crowley, welcome. And to our new Americans, we'll take you to different sites of our agencies, and you can meet our parents and children. Commissioners, this week is also a welcoming week. This is a welcoming week from September 10th to 19th. Yesterday with my colleagues, we were invited to speak in the city's resolution to welcome refugee Afghans. And because this welcoming week is really to bring refugees and immigrants and long-term residents here to appreciate the welcoming, the inclusiveness of our city and our county. And it's a good opportunity to speak about you. This is a welcoming week. And the other thing is that the Afghan crisis, as you know, our city, our county is really is going to welcome the Afghan refugees. ETSS has been requested by our national partners to settle about 65 Afghans, and still we need your partnership and collaboration, because the funding, we are not using RSSP for this refugee parolee. Not refugees, this Afghan parolee. So still, we are looking your support on resettling these Afghan supporters for our army. That's what I have. Thank you so much, and Director Wilson, for your leadership in addition to all the staff of the Franklin County community there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saleshi. And now I'll turn it over to Nadia. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, President Boyce, Commissioners O'Grady and Crowley. Refugees are a large and growing part of our county. And as a former refugee myself, I want to ensure that all of them can get access to the services that they need. When our clients come to the United States, they have little to nothing to get them started. Some of them may have lost their belongings along the way, or were born in a refugee camp where survival is the only concern. We may not know exactly what happened before they arrived here, but we can make sure that they have everything they need to thrive in Central Ohio. So the Refugee Social Services Program is one of our main programs for clients who have been here less than 5 years. And considering that that is 23.7% of immigrants, it's safe to say that a lot of people need these services. And even after initial help that refugees receive from resettlement agencies, they may need more resources after their first 90 days in the country. The funds for this program are critical to the infrastructure of resettlement agencies so that we can provide continuum of services and help refugees become self-sufficient. During this pandemic, these services were even more necessary to continue supporting refugees. As offices closed and information turned digital, many of our clients were left scrambling, trying to navigate this new reality. And our agency used these funds directly to help refugees find jobs if they've been laid off, complete unemployment applications, and navigate any new online processes that may have had language and cultural barriers. We know that 15.4% of immigrant population had limited English proficiency in 2019. Now imagine if all of those people did not have refugee social services available to them as they do now. So we really appreciate your support and thank you so much.
Thank you, Nadia. Pending any questions, I request your approval.
I don't have any questions. I do have a comment. I was just, and it escapes my mind. I have COVID brain, but I was meeting with someone last week who is an employer or working with employment agency here in the county, and they were saying how, you know, in order to fill some spots, they just called the Jewish Family Service Center, and they were able to connect them with employees on the spot, a number of them, and they hired them right away just because they went through their workforce development program. And so those are the things that we like to hear. We know that the funds that go to these social service programs are really putting, you know, our neighbors in a really great position to be reskilled, upskilled, feel part of the community, and then be able to join with an employer or an organization in this community. So with that, if no one else has any comments or questions.
You know, I do actually, you know, we've been working with Dr. Saleshi and with Nadia and with Chris and with Jewish Family Services and us together and Ethiopian Tewahedo and Social Services and other organizations in county government for years. And Commissioner Boyce has done a lot of great work in this space. And I had an interview with NACO News last week talking about the resolution that we did with a couple of weeks ago for on the Afghan refugees. I mean, it's just, you know, the work that we get to do with all of these communities and you know, Commissioner Boyce and I have talked for a long time now about growing up in a Franklin County that looked a lot different years ago than it does today, and acted a lot different than it does today. And it's just, it kind of warms your heart, and you know, feels good to be a part of a team that works with organizations like this and does the work that we do around here with these organizations and with these folks. And so, you know, I've had a little bit of a morning this morning, so I've been a little bit quiet. But when this one came up, I wanted to say a few words because this is kind of who we are around here and what we do at the end of the day. So, good work, good resolution. So, anyway.
Absolutely. And I would just add, as we move for approval, that especially when it comes to our refugee, immigrant, new American population here in Franklin County, that they absolutely contribute to moving Franklin County forward and start businesses. And out of all of the business owners, they are a significant part of that. I think they own more businesses than the share of their own population here in Franklin County. And so that's always wonderful, and happy to support this resolution. If there are no more comments, I move for the approval of Resolution 71721.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution number 71721 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners, and thank you to Nadia and Dr. Saleshi for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next is Justice Policy and Programs.
Resolution number 71821, resolution authorizing non-general fund appropriation adjustments for the support of various grant programs.
Good morning, Commissioners. Melissa Pearson with the Franklin County Office of Justice Policy and Programs. Commissioners, subrecipient grant expenditures for calendar year 2021 have exceeded our expectations, and therefore we are requesting supplemental appropriations in the amount of $240,553 and the transfer of operating funds from our personnel services and materials and services line items in the amount of $275,991 to our grants funding plan. I would be happy to answer any questions you might have, but we respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
Yeah, what are the changes?
I'm sorry, Commissioner, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, I said, yeah, what are the changes? Where's the need? What's happening? To make
Sure. So when we budgeted last year, we were kind of in the heart of COVID, and I think we probably underestimated the expenses, the grant-related expenses. We knew that some of our programs were on hold due to shutdowns, the jail not being able to host any programming. So we probably underestimated the amount of grant expenses that would be liquidated during this calendar year. I also think at that time and Zach, I hope you're listening, I think we also had some pass-through funding to support the Catalyst grant that flows through our office. I'm not sure that amount was actually included in our original budget. So those appropriations weren't included in our 2021 budget.
Got it. All right, thank you.
If there are no additional questions, I move for the approval of Resolution 71821.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Crawley,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Resolution number 71821 has been adopted.
Thanks, Commissioners.
I'm sorry, next is purchasing.
Resolution number 71921, resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $1,590,071.92. Are our friends from purchasing on?
Yes, we're here. Good morning, Commissioner. Sheriff's Brief Fiscal Support Analyst and Marlise Ryan, Economic Equity Administrator, Office of Diversity and Equity Inclusion. This week, we will be presenting a resolution for your approval of 90 purchase orders totaling $1,590,071.92.
Good morning. Thank you, Sharon. Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. This week, we have 7 out of 23 eligible purchase orders that are being presented to award to 2 women business enterprise, 2 minority business enterprise, 1 small and emerging business enterprise, and 2 LEDE enterprise, totaling $77,212, which equates to 30% of the eligible PO value and 54% of the eligible PO dollar value. The following agencies have increased supplier diversity within Franklin County: Public Facilities Management, Sheriff's Office, Emergency Management, Domestic Relations, and Juvenile Court. Pending any questions, we request your approval of this resolution.
There are no comments or questions. I move for the approval of Resolution 71921.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Crawley,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Resolution number 71921 has been adopted.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 72021, resolution approving and authorizing the grant of a temporary construction easement to the City of Columbus, Ohio for waterline improvements at 1919 Frank Road, and authorizing and approving a waiver of acquisition requirements document related to the grant of the temporary construction easement.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is Jesse Armstrong, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney, Franklin County Prosecutor's Office. This resolution would authorize and approve a temporary construction easement to the city of Columbus for the property at 1919 Frank Road. This temporary construction easement is related to some proposed waterline improvements. The city proposes to come in and replace the main feeder line to that building located at 1919 Frank Road. The building is currently occupied by Franklin County Children's Services. In addition to the easement instrument itself, the resolution also authorizes and approves a waiver of acquisition requirements document. That document is required due to some federal funding that will be paying for the city of Columbus waterline improvements. That document essentially waives the county's right to compensation in exchange for the temporary construction easement. This is a rather routine easement, and under the circumstances would be standard to not expect compensation for this temporary easement. The waterline improvements should only take a few days and will improve the water line and the water service to this building. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Hearing none, I move for the approval of Resolution 7, 2021.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Crawley,
Yes.
Commissioner Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Resolution number 7, 2021 has been adopted, and Commissioners, I'd like to note that I have the documents here for your physical signatures. Next, Resolution number 72121. Resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission for collection in calendar year 2022 and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Zach Telerik with the Office of Management and Budget. This resolution is the annual certification that is needed to be made by October 1st and is required by Section 5705.34 of the revised code in order to collect the tax levies during next year's. This is kind of the next step between the tax budget and final approval of the budget in December in terms of the revenue collection for the property tax levies. Pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
Any questions? Hearing none, I move for the approval of 72121.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Crawley,
Yes.
Commissioner Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Resolution number 72121 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Are there any generalizations?
Commissioner, I have 3 this morning from our friends at Economic Development and Planning. Case number ANX-31-21, an expedited Type 2 annexation petition ANX-31-21 was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on September 3rd, 2021. The petition is requesting to annex 0.523 acres from Jackson Township to the city of Grove City. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on October 5th, 2021. An unnumbered site of White Road, PID number 160-000325. Next, case number ANX-32-21, an expedited Type 2 annexation petition. ANX-32-21 was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on September 3rd, 2021. The petition is requesting to annex 34.9 acres from Madison Township to the city of Columbus. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on October 5th, 2021. Site 5141 E Bright Road, PID number 180-005121. And last, case number ANX-33-21, an expedited Type 2 annexation petition, ANX-33-21, was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on September 3rd, 2021. The petition is requesting to annex 27.5 acres from Clinton Township and Muffin Township to the city of Columbus. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on October 5th, 2021. Site 3251 Westerville Road, PID number 130-000001. 3269 Westerville Road, PID number 190-000013. And last, an unnumbered parcel on Ennis Road, PID number 190-002339.
All right, it appears that concludes our regular agenda. Are there any questions from members of the media that are on the line?
None from me.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Anyone else? Okay, seeing that there are none, that concludes our meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
So what time is this?